Hey, all you photography lovers. So we have someone very, very special with you today. This someone has over 25 to 30 years of experience as an art director and has won over 250 awards, and I'm sure is one of the best photographers there is today in the country. Hey Prashant, how are you?
Good.
And thank you so much. It's been like a
you for
steal to get
inviting
you
me.
on this show.
Yeah.
So tell us, you started off as an art director and in the ad world, and now you're this fantastic photographer, street photographer and all of that. So tell us about your journey.
No, I've worked with the best photographers in the country. There are 3-4 guys I always used to work. Once I was doing a campaign for Airtel. One of the photographers which I wanted wasn't available.
Oh,
so
okay.
I decided to shoot myself.
Okay.
And that picked up one award, and I thought, hey, I can shoot.
So the
And that's how I
first time,
started.
the first time you picked up the camera, you won an award.
Yeah. Because I worked with the best guys and I learned from them. I didn't know how to use the setting and all. I used to keep it on auto.
Wow. So tell me, from there, now do you actually, how do you
I kept shooting regularly whenever I was going on a shoot. I used to always work with some photographer.
Right.
I always used to direct them. And I started doing street photography, which kind of intrigued me because you're observing people.
Right.
So that's what you require all
Right.
the time in advertising. I mean, I did Hamara Bajaj many years ago. I don't know whether you must be kid by then. Yes, Avi Asma. My creative director has sent me out and said, please observe people, what do they do on the scooter.
Oh.
And those are the shots I've kind of noted down and shot exactly like that.
Oh, okay.
So that has, I started doing that regularly. Now I just keep observing people on the road.
Yeah.
And if I find something interesting, I shoot. Whether it's
Beautiful.
with the mobile, or whether I have camera with me or not, or I'll just keep it in my head. And if I'm going somewhere else, I'll take that shot.
Oh, wow. So they say that photography is about observing, but it's not so much about what's in front of the camera. It's about how you look at it.
First you click in your head.
Yeah.
And then you click it with the camera. It's like Riyaz. You
Right.
keep observing. You start seeing things. If you're sitting here and I can see crow flying or sitting there just behind you, and that makes a great picture. Now the crows have flown away. So that's
So let's actually go through some of your beautiful pictures and see how these happened. So how did you get this shot?
Yeah, I was standing on the beach and I saw this on the right hand side. There was one horse tied up because obviously the beach was crowded. And there was one crow pecking on the back of his horse. So I thought it was a great picture, so I took one picture. And I kept looking, and suddenly the crow pecked
The horse.
the horse. And then horse jumped
Oh,
and pushed his 2 legs up behind
Uh-oh.
him. And that time I was ready, so I just clicked.
wow. Wow.
Yeah, and then I think that's a nice shot.
It's a different meaning to right place, right time.
Yeah, right place. Yeah, I have to be right place, right time.
They say that the entire photograph tells you a story. I know this picture of yours with a bird looking at the Taj.
So I was shooting and suddenly one pigeon came and sat there. And I took that shot.
Right.
It looked nice, the perspective, bird's eye view. I thought that time as a bird's eye view,
Right,
angle is a beautiful
right.
story. And then Kasab happened.
Right,
And
right.
suddenly that picture, made
Sure.
a
Yeah.
completely different meaning out of it.
Yeah.
So, a piece is, looking at the Taj or the, So
Like a
that's-
dove.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like a dove is looking at the.
So Prashant, tell us, this picture is so fascinating.
Yeah.
You've got 2 animals, you've got a human there. How did you get this
So
composition?
again, I was shooting some campaign, and I just saw this guy waiting for with the horse, and then suddenly I saw from a distance one dog is approaching towards me. So he approached me, and then I started approaching him, and then I kind of started crawling till I get exactly in the
Wow,
in the
frame.
dog's frame. So I got frame within a frame within a frame kind of a shot.
Wow.
So that's the observation. I must have observed it somewhere, and
Sure.
I say, okay, I will shoot this kind of picture one day.
Yeah.
And the moment I see the opportunity, I then chase.
Right.
And then I take the shot.
Right. Tell me, there's some photographers who's into abundant detail, and when I see your photographs, they're very minimalistic.
Yeah.
So, what do you feel about the two?
No, so there's nothing wrong in the detail. But being in advertising, I kind of keep it very simple, straightforward, and focused. If the subject is, say, my subject is horse, so then I'll concentrate only on the horse or
Right.
the dog or the person
Right.
or the story that is happening, and I'll remove the element which is not required.
Yeah.
So I'll compose it in such a way that those elements should not become distraction for the picture. And that is the great art, and that's what makes it simple. And
Yeah.
simple is the most difficult.
Of course, of course. Okay, so tell me, what goes into your camera bag?
Earlier, I used to have autofocus camera like this Rebel kind
Okay.
of number. Then I moved on to 5D Mark II,
Okay.
and I used to have 24-70 as a lens. Then I shifted to 16-35, which gives me more wider space so that I can compose it better.
Right. And do you shoot on tripods?
No,
Never.
always handheld, never on tripod.
Oh, okay.
Tripod restricts you, so all those movement you won't
Yeah.
be able to do.
Yeah. And what about lights? Is it always natural light?
Natural light. On the street, I always do natural light. When I'm now started doing commercial, there I have to use light because
Sure.
they want to see the beautiful face or of a model.
But beautiful models remind me, almost all your photographs are black and white.
Recently, I started doing color.
Okay.
My camera was colorblind.
Oh, really?
I've come from the newspaper days where the black and white was the only
Yes. Yes.
printing. So I got exposed to Raghu Rayas, and so I used to see there. And what happens is color is again distraction.
Distraction. Yeah.
So you're removing elements and you're only concentrating on the emotions
yeah.
and simplicity and the graphicness of the picture.
So tell us, what software do you use once you finish the post-processing?
So Photoshop, where you can, I always shoot in color by the way,
Okay.
and then convert it into black and white.
Okay. And that's
but I
better.
see it in black and white.
Yeah.
So you have to see whether you have a contrast or no.
Right.
You know, so if the guy is there, now he's wearing white shirt. Now the background is also white, so it's not going to look nice.
Yeah.
So I will shift myself against that dark so that he stands out.
Oh.
So I see the contrast.
Okay. Yeah. Because you're shooting in color, you won't see it.
You won't see
Yeah.
it because everything looks better.
Yeah.
But once you, when you are converting in black and white, you have to be very careful where you are. So if the horse is dark, then
Yeah.
I'll go down to make sure that he is coming
Sky.
against sky.
Oh, okay.
And most of the people, shoot standing because your point of view. But
Yeah.
if you just shift the point of view, it starts looking better. So if I go down, it goes against sky. If I go up, it looks against sand. So you're removing all the elements which are not required.
True. True. True.
If I had shots like this, I would have got lots of people in the frame.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the moment I got down, I've just cut everybody
Clear.
out.
Yeah. Yeah. So you use Photoshop after you
Photoshop,
make
and there's a
Lightroom?
beautiful filter. I don't know whether you guys know. It's called Nick.
Okay.
That is available freely on Google, and that converts black and white beautifully. Even color, it's a brilliant software.
Yeah.
One of the best softwares to do the processing. But it always works in Photoshop, so you have to have the Photoshop in there.
And tell us about the technicals on your photograph. Now you're not doing autofocus anymore on the camera.
Sometimes. To make life easier, if you're on a street, what I do is I keep it on f8 because I want everything in focus. Most of the commercial work is done on 2.8, which is I just want your face to be sharply in focus and rest goes blur.
Right.
A wildlife photographer does that, they shoot on a complete open aperture. But on the street, I like to have, like a journalist, everything in focus.
Okay.
Okay, so I keep it on f8, and because people are moving, I keep shutter speed 125th, and I
Okay.
keep ISO on auto.
Okay.
So what happens is now those two are fixed. Only the ISO gets shuffling, so I'm always get a good picture.
Okay. Okay.
And then I have adjusted based on if it is really moving fast, then I quickly change the. What happens is once you start taking
Right.
photographs, like I take
Right.
about 100 pictures a day.
Really?
Every day.
Every day.
Every day. So what is happening
Yeah,
is me is that I know now.
Yeah.
Even with the click, I know, okay, I've changed the aperture, I've changed the shutter speed. So the moment it becomes a part of your body,
Right.
the camera becomes, by adjusting it quickly, you know what you're doing.
Sure.
So it's riyaz.
Yeah.
You do practice. So if you do practice, you will know exactly what you're doing. If I see the light, I know what aperture I should keep. So it becomes like that.
It's auto. Yeah.
Yeah.
If the auto is
Auto.
here.
Auto mode is here.
So Prashant, tell us about white balance is another thing photographers ask.
Yeah, in olden days, I mean, great photographers used to adjust everything, and still some photographers do it today also. They look at the light, they check the white balance. But these days, you have a great cameras and softwares, so you can adjust the white balance later on.
Yeah, because I'm thinking street photography, natural light, and
Yeah, if you're doing, you're taking the camera, and by the time you saw something, quickly lifted the camera, and you don't have time to,
going to be able
adjust.
to do that. So talking about the 100 photographs a day, I'm very intrigued with that.
So it's a practice, right? You
Right.
keep practicing and you chuck about almost everything.
Okay,
That also gives you a habit of observing things through the camera,
right.
and then making sure how do you remove the elements from the frame. So you chuck, and maybe in your lifetime, if you do 10 great shots, you should die happily.
Wow. 100 a day multiplied by some 30 years, and I should have 10 great photographs. I mean,
And I don't think I have a single yet.
oh.
So, I mean, I've always been influenced by somebody, something I've seen somewhere. So that's not new.
Okay.
If you have to come up with original, you really have to struggle.
So this is classic. After 250 awards, so you ask a photographer which is your best photograph, and he says the one I'm going to take tomorrow. If someone is a hobby photographer, which a lot of people like to be, and then they want to convert that into making a living, what would be your advice to them?
As I told you, it's very deceptive. Everybody thinks they can take photograph, and everybody can because they have camera. You can get one good fluke picture, or two good fluke picture, or
Right.
10 good fluke picture. But to do it constantly, continuously, on a regular basis is what, and for that you need riyaz.
Right.
You need to work every day, you need to make sure all your composition, you need to learn art, you need to learn the design principles, you need to understand the way people behave, you need to understand psychology, you constantly have to move. So it is
It's a journey.
it is like, it's like a singer
Yes.
wants to be a classical singer, he has to do a riyaz for 20 years, then
Yes.
somebody gives him
Couple of thousands.
couple of thousands to perform on a stage.
And
So it's like
yeah.
that. So it is difficult, and you will get wedding assignments. You will get,
Yeah.
but to get commercial assignments, you would really have to work very hard to get. And anybody can do it. It's not difficult because it's very easy medium. Looks like easy,
Sure.
but to do anything different, it is difficult.
Yeah, that's the thing
If it
about
is
being unique.
it's difficult. It's like language.
Sure.
You and I can know ABCD, but how many of us are great writers?
Yeah. So Prashant, where do you draw your inspiration from?
As I told you, Ragura is a great photographer, Sopan is a great photographer. Prabhudo, I used to work with him very closely. But there is a magnumphotos.com, is a brilliant site. You will see Henry Cartier-Bresson, Kappa, David and Harvey. So all the great photographers with that group.
Wow.
And you should, every new guy should see those photographs and learn from them. Don't copy. Learn
Right.
from them and how they have taken shots. There's lens culture where they show a lot of experimental stuff. I keep seeing photographs across, wherever I could see.
Right.
I will not discriminate if you have. I love to see your shots because there's something I learned from those shots.
Yeah.
So it's always nice to see where the light was, where it's coming from, how it is reflecting.
So tell me, if you could be invisible one day with your camera, what would you like to shoot?
On the street, you have to be invisible. Always, not
Okay.
one day, every day.
You got to
Because
sort
if
of
you're doing a
blend
street
with-
photography, you should blend into the crowd. Some people may notice you, but that may make a bad picture.
Right.
Because they start
Yeah.
staring at you, and then
Yeah.
it looks like you're asking them to look
Contrived.
here and
Yes.
pose. So it's better to be, invisible. And if I become invisible, I'll stay invisible and take lots of photographs.
So tell
Not
me-
one day, every day.
Every day. So tell me one last question. If you looking back with all this experience, if you could give one piece of advice to your younger self, what would you say?
First of all, I should have. I started photography like 6, 7 years ago. I would have started it like when I was 20.
Okay.
That would have made a huge difference in my life and career. But I didn't regret that because I've done advertising now, and photography is now another leaf. So which is good.
Right. Thank you so much.
All right.
I think you've been
You're always
so
welcome.
helpful. People are
I
going
don't
to watch
know
this.
whether anybody will get any knowledge out of this. But I just wish you best.
Thank you, Prashant. Thank you so much.
All right.
Please click the subscribe button below. Like me at facebook.com/ChetChat101. Follow my Twitter handle ChetChat101 or at Instagram ChetChat101. Please leave your comments in the sections below. And if you'd like me to feature any particular college, please let me know. Thank you.